What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for ReZero Season 3. This is episode 10, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. So we okay. So the episode picks up right after uh Capella, like literally just sneaks into the room where Felix and Crush are both in, and Capella, being her usual self, like provokes Felix into attacking her, and of course she transforms into Crush, just to provoke Felix even further, even trying to say that like they have some sort of relationship, but of course Felix retorts
I
saying that
I was wondering.
he
I don't
doesn't
know
know.
if they explained this, but I was wondering if maybe Capella has like a similar power of suggestion over people that maybe like Wrath does. Because I don't know why. I mean, I get like, of course, Felix would be upset, but I don't know why he would be fooled into thinking that it is actually or because at some point Capella does transform into Crush, and Felix acts like it is actually Crush, even though he should know it's not. It's Capella. But I wonder if maybe there's some kind of power of suggestion or something that Capella has over people to make them think that maybe the form that she takes is the person that she's taking the form of. Because I just feel like Felix should at least know better. Like, obviously that's not her. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh,
yeah. I mean, it's not clear, but turns out that the Crush that's in the room turns out it's Anastasia disguised as Crush, who pretty much just lays a trap with Capella by blasting her down into the underground tunnels where Al is waiting for her, and pretty much that's what the last word we see of that scene before it transitions us. I think we go back to Priscilla and Liliana facing off against
I
Sirius.
also want to say I feel like
Um,
Capella is like one of the scarier archbishops because of just like every time we see her get like kind of messed, like she just always looks like really crazy. Uh, like
yeah,
she was taking some hits, when in when she showed up, and I mean she just looks horrifying. Like whenever she's just like I guess take some damage. Um, yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Capella, it's like Felix tries to. Well, Felix demanded her tell him about like how to cure the dragon's blood, but Capella reveals like she has no idea you know how her blood even works or how people can really, I don't know, recover from something like that. Unless you're Subaru, who can like use that ability, I guess, to absorb the dragon's blood like he did. But but for other means, like she doesn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so like, but yeah, like I was saying, so we do catch up with both Priscilla and Liliana facing off against Sirius. Uh, of course, Sirius uses her authority to manipulate Liliana, and then well, I mean, unsuccessfully uses it against Liliana to a certain point before Priscilla snaps her out of it. Uh, well, by kissing her mouth to mouth. Uh, and then of
Yeah,
course,
well, I mean, it's been hinted at, I guess, already that I guess Liliana has some kind of a crush on Priscilla, I suppose.
yeah, and of course, Sirius tries to manipulate the remaining citizens to, I guess, to get involved before Priscilla uses her. I get her. I think her. I can't remember what her weapon was called. If she even called.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
remember. It's a sword, and I guess it can create flames because she creates like a flame
yeah,
ball to separate the citizen, separate the people from her. Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
but yeah, like this of course proceeds into a fight scene that kind of we cut back and forth throughout the episode, with Priscilla facing
yeah,
off against Sirius.
yeah. I mean, it goes on even till into a post-credit scene, and which shows
A surprisingly
it
brief
was
one too.
yeah, it was very brief. It shows like it picks up the Priscilla and Sirius fight with Sirius apparently gaining the upper hand against Priscilla, but that's
Well,
where the episode leaves off. It was a odd post credit
yeah,
scene
I want to
for
mention
that to
something
be
too.
there.
I forget exactly what it is she said, but like Sirius says something to like provoke Priscilla that it seems like I guess I guess like maybe it's something that that nobody else maybe knows about. But I'm not sure exactly
Like,
what she was referring to. Like she says some
like
phrase that like really seems to trigger her.
yeah, it seems like she knows something about Priscilla that we
Yeah.
don't. That seemed to have like caught her off guard, which allowed Sirius to, I guess, land a blow on her. But yeah, maybe we'll find out in the next episode. Who knows? But
Well,
I mean,
I'm
we still
hoping that
have
we
like
get some maybe some backstory on Priscilla because we really don't know anything about her.
I mean, neither do we do with Anastasia,
Yeah.
nor, uh, I mean, Crush to a certain extent, like her backstory is kind of. I mean, I haven't read the what was it, the X novel involving Crush.
Yeah.
I think there should be a backstory about her as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the main series, but I mean, as we know, the X novels cover some of the more information on some of the side characters like Wilhelm, Crush,
Mhm.
Felix, and I suppose maybe some of the other royal candidates too.
Yeah. I mean that's what I'm still hoping for is like we get an adaptation of I guess to a certain extent the X novels. If
I mean,
maybe they might adapt it for the season, maybe they won't.
it would be
I
good
mean,
for just like world building because like there's definitely like a lot that like, it feels like there's a lot to the ReZero world that just is briefly touched on in the series and not really gone into that much.
yeah. I mean they went out of their way to adapt Emilia's what was it?
Yeah,
Her
the Frozen
side
Bond
story.
story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they can't, adapt at least make an adaptation of the X novels involving Wilhelm and Crush.
Yeah, I mean, because we already had that as like an OVA. So, and I mean, they even did the Memory Snow thing as an OVA, which was, I would argue,
Mhm.
wasn't really necessary, but it's because it's basically like a longer filler episode. But I mean,
Yeah,
if they do that, like if they would did that, I feel like they should be able to do the X novels too. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, anyway, so
Uh,
yeah, we cut back to I don't know if you would even really call it a fight, but the fight between Reinhardt and Regulus, where Regulus is just getting constantly like just uh, like pushed back through like buildings and stuff, and he keeps coming back, of course, but Reinhardt just is, it's pretty one sided.
yeah. Until Regulus pretty much like throws him far away from the battle to the point where Emilia and Subaru have to, fend for themselves. I mean, Amelia does, I guess, to a certain extent, does put up a good fight.
Yeah.
Where I mean, there was this weird moment in which she intentionally like tries to hit him in the nuts, which
Yeah.
to no effect.
Well, that whole scene was pretty funny because we should point out too that like, and I wasn't aware that Regulus, I mean, could even do this, but there's a lot of things we still don't know about him. But apparently, he can just pick up like water. Like he uses like the water from the I guess the canal to try to like I guess pelt Emilia and Subaru with like droplets from the water. But
Yeah.
then Amelia, I think, uses her power to like freeze the water in the canal so that they can get away from him. And I just thought the whole like sequence of them like skating down the canal and then like Regulus kind of like almost like ice skating after them was pretty just I don't know, like unintentionally hilarious. Just
Yeah, and of course, Subaru and Amelia managed to swing away before they hit a bridge, which in turn allowed Regulus to crash into it. Of course, much of the second half of the episode was Subaru and Amelia trying to figure out Regulus's weaknesses and how he's constantly just taking blows without taking any damage
Mm.
until Subaru by the end of the episode I guess he finds out the power of his authority. Like I think he calls it Lionheart,
Uh,
saying like he has the ability to freeze his body in
he
time.
he
I
he
mean,
just he
yeah.
basically figures it out based on Regulus's name, because Regulus is oh, what was it? It's uh is it Roman for, or
Little.
it's
I think no. He said he called it's Latin for
yeah,
little
yeah,
king.
yeah, that's right. Which was based on a star, because all of the authorities' names are based off of star, like constellations or stars. So he kind of uses that, I guess, to discern, to figure out what his weakness is.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course it catches Regulus off guard when he hears this. So seems to me that like yeah, I think Subaru somehow nailed the mark right there
Yeah.
somehow. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much where the
Also,
episode ends off.
Reinhardt does also get like blown away to, so that he can't. Subaru and Amelia, I guess, are just left to fend for themselves, because Regulus like hits him enough to where, I guess, he goes flying off up into, I guess, up into the atmosphere. Uh,
Yeah, I mean I mean, obviously we're gonna get Reinhardt back in the fight, a little bit later. But yeah, overall it was a pretty decent episode. I mean, I still question like if there was any point to even having that post credit scene with,
it should have just been part of the episode, or I mean,
yeah, I think it should have been part of it. I didn't see the reason why it needed to be an end credit scene. But yeah, overall, the overall episode was still good. In fact, I do like that. The fact that Emilia and Subaru are mostly are trying to I guess try to fend for themselves without relying on Reinhardt too much.
yeah, um, yeah. Although I'm not really sure what Subaru could even do against against Regulus, even though he does know his weakness. Regulus even said he was
Yeah,
holding back most of the time.
yeah. I mean, Subaru to some extent has some amount of magical abilities, but it's not
Yeah,
a not at the same
the
level
the only
as
the most he can
Regulus.
do is just put up a smoke screen, um, and he has a whip he
Yeah.
can use. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah, I mean his fighting ability has improved has is vastly improved over the past 2 seasons. So, um yeah, so it's yeah, but Subaru is still using his wits to get out of certain situations.
yeah, that's the only way he would be able to maybe like best Regulus. But I think
Yeah.
he'd definitely have to rely on Amelia mainly to do the fighting for him. He'd have
Mhm.
to. What I assume might happen is he'd have to use Amelia to try to distract Regulus while he maybe tries to take him by surprise and exploit his weakness somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a good episode too. It was definitely some of the better animated. Well, maybe I don't know about the best animated episode of ReZero, but it's definitely up there. I mean, it definitely had a lot of fight scenes, um, and I feel like there definitely was probably like a lot of, animation directors or people working on the people, I guess, just specifically that specialize in fight scenes, probably working on this season specifically. I mean, considering how many there are in season 3, compared to like the
Yeah.
previous seasons. Uh, but yeah, I thought, yeah, I agree. I thought it was a pretty good episode, but every episode has been consistently great. Um, I mean, I'm just like you. I'm just disappointed that it's going to be like a somewhat shorter season, because we probably don't have that many more episodes to go until we're, I guess, done with season 3, if it's only going to be like 16 episodes. Um,
Yeah, and maybe we'll have to wait another 2-3 years for another season after
yeah, I mean,
that.
we had to
Who
wait a while
knows?
for this season, so. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess so. That'll be said. Until next time, we will see you all later.